Scott Appleton, author of a new book and Brooklyn resident. Thank you for coming to the show today.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Good. Your book is Swords of the Six, and it's a part of a series, right, that you're planning to write?
There's going to be 7 books, depending on if I can fit all the material that I've got into 7 books. Originally, I started off with one manuscript that was written from the omniscient point of view. In other words, you have like a sentence that would summarize basically the action, like, Ilfeto went forward and slew the dragon. Now you get every motion as he goes up to slay that dragon and how he goes about doing that, because it's written from the third person limited. So I ended up with just that one manuscript turning into enough material for 7 books at least.
I wonder if that's how J.K. Rowling started out, if she had it all sketched out, or if she, do you know?
I honestly don't know. Some authors do, but for the most part, a lot of them write from the hip. I'm good friends with Brian Davis, and he has several fantasy series, and he just shoots from the hip. He writes, and then he doesn't know what's going to happen. With my story, I do have some unexpected things that happen as I'm writing. A couple new characters showed up I never anticipated.
Have a chair.
Yeah. Well, I went back and I did. I had written The Sword of the Dragon Offspring, which, if you look in the beginning of my first, actually at the end of my book, Swords of the Six, you'll see that it says the story will continue in Book 2, Offspring. Offspring was the original manuscript, and I had an editor do a review of my book, and he said that you got great writing, and you got a great story here, but what you need to do is have a better through line for the story. So I struggled with that for months. I was like, a better through line. I mean, you want the beginning to lead to the conclusion, but my story is so long that it's very difficult for each segment to seem to be that concise, if you know what I mean with that. So what I did was I thought about the backstory, and in the story there's 6 sisters, and they each have a sword. In Offspring there's 5, and so what I did was I took the backstory with those 6 swords, and it became the book Swords of the Six.
Okay, so early on you realized you had a series and not just one book.
Right. Yes, I ended up with too much material. I started incorporating Swords of the Six as prequel information for the Sword of the Dragon Offspring, but the Sword of the Dragon, Swords of the Six I had to split the book up. It was way too big.
Okay, so your genre you would call fantasy.
Yeah, young adult fantasy.
But it's Christian allegory, sort of?
No, it's not Christian allegory. It does have some Christian elements, because as a Christian writer, every, J.K. Rowling has a very humanist worldview. Then you have, I'm trying to think, the Philip Pullman is an atheist. So every writer has their worldview, coming through in their story. In mine, there's 3 creatures, and after I wrote the book, I realized that it was very much like a trinity of sorts, because there's a dragon, prophet, there's an invisible creature, and then there's a shepherd, and they all work conjointly behind the scenes to see that the events unfold as they should. So.
Interesting. So how did you know? How did the story evolve, and how did the idea come to you?
Well, I was a student missionary over in Thailand, and I asked somebody at one point, because they were going to watch The Lord of the Rings, and I'd never read fantasy, and I had never watched anything. And so they were going to show me this movie, and I said, well, I've always heard this term, Middle Earth. Is Middle Earth like, the middle of the world, and with like little people in it or something? And I didn't know anything about it, so they said, no, it's not the case, and we ended up, I started writing a story based around that misconception, and when I got back to the States, I kept expanding on it, and I was like, this is actually a fantasy story, and it ended up being a lot of fun. I just ended up with what's now the end of the series. It'll be book 7 or 8. So.
Well, why don't we talk about, because I don't want you to give away plots that are yet to come. Why don't we talk a little bit? Could you give me sort of a capsule view or a paragraph view of what Swords of the Six is about? What is the
Swords of the Six opens with treachery. Yeah, 6 warriors in the service of a dragon prophet, and 5 of them betray their captain. So this captain, after he falls, the dragon master takes the 6 weapons, the 5 weapons of the traitors and of the betrayed, and then he gives them to 6 human daughters that he's created for himself. He hatches them out of eggs. and then sends him on a quest with an opportunity for the first of the traitors to either repent or else he has to pay for what he did with his life. So these 6 daughters go after the first of the traitors. And that was the main gist of how things go for the first half.
Okay. And along the way, things happen to these 6 daughters, particularly one who is maybe a lead character, more of a lead character?
Yes.
Dantress?
Yes, Dantress is a very lead character. And of course, as you know, I know you've read the book, so it's difficult to see, how to explain it without ruining the plot.
Right.
But yes, she's very pivotal because the series itself is actually about a man and his daughter and his protectiveness over her as a result of the events of Swords of the Six. Offspring will lead into that. Offspring is the daughter.
Well, I'd like to go back a minute, if you don't mind, to your Thailand experience.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because you did that at age 17 or something?
Yeah, I was 17.
Okay.
I was homeschooled my whole life. And when I always wanted to be...
That's growing up in Brooklyn or Canterbury?
No, Canterbury, actually.
Canterbury.
Yeah, I've only been... I got married in June. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, my wife Kelly and I moved to Brooklyn. She grew up in Canterbury as well. And we've been living there since. We're actually going to pack up and go on a national book tour soon. But we've been living in Brooklyn. And I grew up in Canterbury, was homeschooled by my parents, and they did a great job. They instilled in me a great sense for imagination. My mother was always a big reader, so that led me into all sorts of things. My father loved science, so I think that really fed into my eventual love for science fiction fantasy. And so I went overseas as a student missionary after graduating early at 17 from high school. And I went for a student missionary program for like 3 months. And I stayed in Bangkok. I loved it over there. It was great. I intend to go back. So.
And what did you work there? Because you were there, you said 3 months.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, honestly, not as much as I'd hoped, because the school itself wasn't that well arranged. It was a brand new operation. But we worked with a local church that several of us young guys found. There were 7 of us young American guys over there. And we were all under the age of 20. And we went to one of the local churches and made friends with the Thai people there and worked with them. We did some English teaching and stuff like that.
Wow.
But
that's one of those life-shaping experiences. And you said you'd like to go back at some point.
Yeah, it's called
Thailand
is called the Land of Smiles. And when we went over there, I felt it was great. When I came back here, I really felt like almost oppressed in a way. It's just totally different atmosphere. We're too hurried, and over there, as a Christian, I see that the gospel has not been shared much. There's a lot of depression and such as a result, but a lot of need, and that provides a lot of opportunity.
So when you say you want to go, do you want to go on another mission trip?
Yes,
or do you want to specifically
my dream
go to
is actually
Thailand?
to start a place for the poor. There's a lot of beggars over there, missing limbs that are moved about on the streets. Just if people pass by, they'll move them along. So it's
you mean
pretty
physically
heartbreaking.
Pick them up and move them?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was one little guy I remember. I don't know how old he was. It's hard to tell because his neck was coming out of his chest. He had no arms and no legs, so he was just propped into a little thing, and he would sit with a cup in front of him and beg all day.
Wow.
But so those kind of people really need to be reached. But my book writing is part of that goal, because what I would like to do is have enough residual income to go overseas at will and return and then go back, but not have to worry about keeping a job over here. So.
Well, did you realize at some point in your homeschooling that you wanted to be an author or a writer?
I always wanted to write. I used to write little stories. I used to camp out with my brother and my sister, and I'd tell stories, and we would have fun either scaring each other or else. I was a big history buff. I would tell them stories that I'd read about the American Civil War, and the story. It was a lot of fun. I always loved to tell stories, but I never had anything that was long enough to make a book. And then when I came up with the fantasy idea, it just took off, because I realized that if I didn't really pursue it, I would lose it. I'd lose the opportunity, because I got to do it while I'm young. It's harder to do it as you get older. So with less ties, it's the time to get it done. So.